So we'll move on to the next part. So in this section, we'll be like looking at the finance for small and medium sized enterprises, which is called as SMEs. So what is an SME? So SMEs are business whose number of employees fall below a certain limit, or the revenue of the business is within a defined limit. So these are like small companies, like a small factory or a small trading company. So these are called as SMEs. SMEs are larger than self-employment of their owner. So it is not a one-person company or a freelancing business. It is more than that. SMEs are unlikely to be listed on any stock exchange and is likely to be owned by a relatively small number of shareholders, usually by an extended family. So usually these are like family-owned businesses, and if they are not owned by family, it has a small number of shareholders. SMEs outnumber large companies by a wide margin and also employ more and many more people. So SMEs are like very large in numbers. For example, for every one MNC company, there might even be 100 small and medium enterprises. And if an MNC is going to employ around some 5,000 people, SMEs would employ around some 5 lakh people. So that is the size and potential of a SME. Even though each business in SME will be like having 20 employees per business, but still when combined together the SME strength is much more higher. For example, Australian SMEs make up 98% of all Australian business, produce one third of the total GDP, and employ 4.7 million people. So we look at how the SMEs are like financed. SME finance is the funding of SMEs and represent a major function of the general financial market. So SMEs have some unique financing ability. For example, they are financed based upon the collateral they give. For example, their factory or their asset information. For example, their credit rating. Any credit rating that they have, based upon that they might be given a loan, or viability. If they have a project to produce a particular product, based upon that they might be given a finance. So this is how SMEs are financed. So finance which are accessible by SMEs, from where they get their money, they usually get from bank loans and overdraft. They get from leasing, hire purchase, equity share, or bond, corporate bond issue. But this does not include the IPO and all, because they are a very small company. Venture capital or private equity, they can go for asset based finance, such as giving collateral and getting a loan, or they can also sell their receivables like factoring and invoicing, or they can get government grants and loans. So these are the forms of finance which are usually accessed by SMEs. But there's something called the SME finance gap. Conventional financial markets, okay, a market where a large company can go and get finance, those finance is called as conventional finance market. This market is not available to the SMEs. This is due to the lack of security that they have. So they might not have a lot of machinery or factories, so the security that they can give is limited. They might not have high returns as like a big company. They might not even have a proper information to create a credit scoring, because they don't have any compulsory auditing or anything like that. So they might not have information to get credit scoring. They don't have internal control at all. They don't have external controls like auditing or annual reports. And usually the owner is the one who is dominant, and they don't have any professional setup in the company. So because of these things, it is very hard for the conventional finance market to give loan to this sector. So these are the SME demand side issue, what the problem which the company faces, SME companies face. So they get the requirements to get a loan or a finance is like very difficult for an SME. The process is very slow. There's a high cost for them to raise interest. There's a fear of decline in the business and low business and financial literacy. So these are the problem. On the other side, the problems which the banks have in supplying the finance to the SME is they feel the SMEs are high risky, hence the cost of giving them a loan is also high. The SMEs have a low revenue and it is very difficult to reach these SMEs and give them a loan, and the sector is mostly informal in nature. Okay, so both these parties are finding it difficult to come to terms to get a finance. So this is where like alternative channels are available for SMEs. So one is business angel financing. An angel investor is a wealthy individual who provides capital for a business, usually a startup business, in exchange for convertible debt or ownership equity. So angel investors usually give support to startups at the initial moment where the risks of startup failing are relatively high and when most investors are not prepared to back them. So that's why they are called as angels, because when other people are afraid to help them, this business angel financing helps there. Usually they organize themselves into angel groups or networks to share investment capital as well as provide advice to their portfolio companies. Once a business angel is interested, they can become very useful to an SME as they will have a great amount of business acumen and they are likely to have many useful contacts. So now we'll move how the government helps the SMEs. So SMEs are helped in terms of providing grants. They help them in terms of giving uh, tax breaks. That is, SMEs don't need to pay tax. Governments also provide advice. Also, in terms of the government also gives a guarantee for a loan. The government also provides equity investment for some companies. So this is how the government helps the SME sector. So we will move on to the supply chain financing. So in supply chain financing, there are like three parties. One is the supplier, and one is the buyer, and the other one is the partner financial institutions. So the buyer buys goods from the supplier on credit. So it's on credit. Okay. So the supplier sends the goods to the buyer, and the buyer accepts the goods and comes to pay at the invoice date. The buyer then sends the invoice to the partner financial institute. So what the partner financial institute will do is he will accept to pay on the invoice date. So on the date of the invoice, what happens is the payment is requested by the supplier to the financial institute, and the financial institute makes a payment. Okay, he makes a payment. So what's the good thing about it? Normally suppliers might not sell goods to the buyer on credit, but in times of that kind of problem, the buyer can contact the partner financial institute, and the partner financial institute will then make a payment to the supplier. So this helps the buyer to keep on rolling his factory and his company. So now we look at the theory part of it. It is a form of financing that allows the manufacturer and distributor to buy raw materials in order to build inventory or fulfill large orders. It works by partnering with a finance company that extends trade credit, and it acts as an intermediary between the SME and the supplier. Whenever the SME needs to buy raw materials, SME places a purchase order to the suppliers. Once the supplier gets the purchase order, they deliver the goods to the SME. The supplier issues an invoice to the financing company. The finance company pays the supplier. So this is how supply chain financing works. So now we'll move on to crowdfunding. So crowdfunding is a very interesting concept and it is also one of the latest concepts in finance. So assume that you got an idea to start a business. Now what you do is you create a project on the internet. For example, there are like many crowdfunding platforms and apps are available. You go there and uh, you create a page for yourself displaying your idea that you have. You tell a lot of crowd. For example, you once you created a project in this crowd financing website, you share it with your LinkedIn, your Facebook and your Quora and everywhere. And then the crowd, okay, the people who are interested in your venture, they will invest cash. And once the project is like kicked in and it makes profit, the profit is shared with the crowd investors. So your idea is now converted into a reality. So what is a crowdfunding and peer-to-peer funding? We'll see it in detail. Crowdfunding involves funding a venture by raising finance from a large number of people and is done over the internet. The internet platforms are set up and run by moderating organizations which we can call as platforms. The platform brings together the project initiator with the idea and those organizations and individuals who are willing to support the idea. Different platforms have different policies with regard to assessing the ideas, seeking support, and checking those willing to provide the finance. Finance provided by the crowdfunding may be invested in debt or in the equity form in the venture. Some crowdfunding is done on the basis of keep it all. For example, if a particular project requires like 1 lakh, if this 1 lakh is reached, then will run the project. Even if some 50,000 is reached, then the money will be kept by the person who raised the finance and he'll still run the venture. In all or nothing, only if he raises 1 lakh, he will run it. If he raises 50,000, the 50,000 will be returned to the crowd investors. So this is called as keep it all basis. This is called as all or nothing basis. The crowdfunding platform takes a fee and it's usually a percentage of amount that has been raised.
You can reach me at my website wowacademics.com, or you can also see my Quora answers. I am active in LinkedIn and in Facebook page. So you can visit at these places. If you just type Sham Prasad and Wow Academics, you will get all these links in Google search itself. And if you like this video, give a like, share to your friends, and if you feel that any points we have missed in this video, you can post it. We will try to give an answer to you in the comment section itself, or we'll also create another video for you. So thank you for watching our video.